A beautiful picture of forgiveness there is in John chapter 8. Many of us know the story well. Others maybe for the first time. The woman brought to Jesus, taken in adultery, in the very act. Now how did these guys catch her? Peeping Toms. It's like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. He's a peeping Tom. So they bring her, throw her down. What do you say we should do? Moses said in the law we should stone her. My brother-in-law, I don't know if he got this from somebody else, but he mentioned at one time that Jesus wrote on the ground. And he wondered if maybe Jesus was writing out some sins from each one of those guys. And then he says, "He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her." So he continues to write on the ground. Maybe continues to write out each one of their sins. And it's interesting, too, because it says they went out one by one, beginning at the eldest. So it gives you the impression that maybe they went down in order to the youngest, even unto the last. Well, maybe this is yet another insight into maybe that is true. Maybe he's writing their sins, and maybe he started with the eldest, the one who should know better. Wrote down the sin. He doesn't accuse anybody, but he writes it down. The eldest has the longest chance to look at that thing and be convicted in his heart and leave. And then the time finally Jesus gets down to the last guy standing. The guy's maybe looking at those things and going, "Nope, that's not me. No, I'm not like that. No, not me. No, I thank thee that I am not as those guys." If he even had a sense of maybe that's what their sin was, or maybe he knew a few of them, saw their reaction and saw them leave. And then Jesus writes that guy's sin. Maybe that guy, maybe nobody else had a problem with stealing. Maybe that guy, the last guy, had some problem with stealing, and Jesus wrote down stealing. Maybe he wrote down what it was that he stole. Who knows? Jesus knew. Jesus knew. But whether that's what happened or not, I don't know. But it is true that they all left. And that Jesus didn't condemn the woman. If you have a repentant heart, for there, no matter what sin you've done, Jesus will forgive you. I'll go and sin no more. And trust in the Holy One of God, Jesus Christ, who paid for that sin on Calvary. You just believe that that's the deal. And you believe that God raised him from the dead. Death that was put upon him from every sin. That's what killed Jesus. Jesus could have withstood any punishment. But sin of every man that ever lived, to the most what we would consider minute to the most grotesque and horrible, Jesus suffered for every one of those sins. Everything that you've ever done, Jesus suffered for those things. And made a payment to God for you. Just believe. It doesn't say that we have to believe that he died, but it does say that we must confess him as Lord and believe that God raised him from the dead. It's only through the Holy Spirit that would occur in your heart, that you turn towards God. That's your answer to the Holy Spirit's call. You believe that God raised him from the dead, that Jesus has already paid for your sin, and you'll have a home in heaven.